All right. Let's get into it. Hey there, fellas. How's everything going? This is Brian, aka Uncle B, and I'm here in the Goodwood University studio. um, I want to welcome everybody who is on with us right now. Looks like we're going to have some more folks who are hopping on because today we're talking about getting those erections on demand. We're talking about as you get older, can you expect? What can you get uh, taken care of so that you have the best sexual health possible, the best life possible, and all that stuff is necessary. We are going to get into it. A lot of great announcements to make. Just things that we're doing here to make it easier for men all over the world to have better sex lives, better health, better everything. Because, hey man, you deserve it. The people around you deserve, to have the best out of you. So that's what we're going to give in terms of the information and everything that we do. And once again, for those guys that do not know, my name is Brian, aka Uncle B, and for the last 23 years I've been a men's performance coach with Good Wood and the all natural liquid aphrodisiac, formerly known as African Fly. And if you could hop into the comment sections and just let me know where you're from, where you're repping. I see we have Tim in the house. South Carolina is in here. And what's going on, Samuel? Houston, Texas is in the house. Uh, we have people here in the studio. What's going on, Vance? And we have, more people we're expecting to come on because we have a lot of stuff to go into. What's going on, Eben? Uh huh. All right. Yes, we'll be talking about the Goodwood, the Goodwood Advanced, all of that good stuff because we're talking today about what happens as you get older, what you need to look out for, and what you can do so that you can not only get your erections back strong, healthy, the way that you want it, and you know how to keep that for the rest of your life. And I'm not going to waste too much time. I do want to get into it. Do want to welcome everybody, though. Hey, what's going on there, Mr. Hall? Yes, Leo Dallas, Texas is in the house. What's going on, Mr. Duncan? All right. So, when we're talking about today, we are talking about how to get those erections back on demand, especially as you get older, as you hit your 40s, because as you know, certain things happen, life happens, issues happen, and what I'm going to do today is break down what is happening and what to look out for. And yeah, it's really important that we understand stuff that goes on because we're not taught a lot of this stuff. And as you know, our world has changed radically from the time that especially if you're older, that you were born. I mean, I remember McDonald's actually closed. I remember when the when TV went off. It was just TV. Imagine that. Oh my God. You had to use maps back in the day. What? Things have changed, and a lot of stuff has changed as far as our health is concerned. So I want to talk about those things, and I'm going to give you some tools, 3 tools specifically that you can use to get better, get healthier. Because basically what's happening right now, we're living in an unnatural world. I mean, for the last 150 years, things have changed radically. We're talking about, in terms of what we eat, the way we sleep, how we communicate, our stress levels. I mean, think about it in this term. When we used to go to sleep, it was because it was dark and there was nothing else to do. I mean, it was literally, you go out, hang out with the animals and take your luck, or you just go to sleep with everybody, and that's it. I mean, they had this thing called second sleep. That's basically, you would go to sleep at about a good 8 o'clock, wake up at about 12 o'clock. You would either have sex, talk with your neighbors, read the Bible. They actually have Bible verses for second sleep, and then you go back to sleep and wake up, and you go for it. So that has changed because of all the lights that we have and all the entertainment that we have. So we are no longer sleeping the way we used to. Eating meat at every meal was impossible back in the day. There was no industrial farms, and so now we're at a time where we have endless entertainment, things that can distract us, I mean, am I missing anything? Let me know in the comment section. Am I missing anything? What else is going on? I mean, we're now our necks are down, cranked down, looking at our phones. We're in the midst of a testosterone, low testosterone pandemic. Let's call it what it is. I mean, it's been going down uh, uh, constantly for the past I don't know how many years. And really, we need our testosterone. The bursting and burning of testosterone was fuels erections. So, we're in this part where we need to actually make changes. That's really important because, I'm starting to talk to guys who are in their 20s who are having erectile dysfunction issues, and the if our testosterone levels are going down, we're talking about in a few years, within the next decade, they're saying that a lot of men are going to be impotent, as in you're not going to be able, we're talking about possibly your son or your grandson not being able to reproduce, and a lot of it ends up being in lifelong bad health, and we have to avoid that. Uh-huh. We want free goodwill. Oh man. Okay, I got you. I got you. Alabama in the house. What's going on, Muhammad? All right. But yeah. We also have to worry about when we talk about what's going on when we talk about our food supply. We're living in a world now where the weather is changing, etc. So we're going to have some situations where the food is unstable. But uh, the great thing about living in the town that we live right now is that I there's so many different ways that we can make food. When you go to the grocery store, food will stay on the shelves for like 2 or 3 years. The problem is that the food will stay on the shelves for 2 or 3 years, and we're not supposed to eat food like that. We're supposed to go and get it off the tree, out of the ground. However we get that plant food. And the thing to remember is that 70% of your DNA is influenced by food. So that first 30, 25, 30%, that's, what you're born with. Your eye socket size is not going to change. Your finger sizes are not going to change. But, I've been 5'10", 180 pounds, and 5'10", 280 pounds. Same body, uh, different foods. And I always say there's only two food groups: live food and dead food. And when we're talking about dead food, typically it's dry. And so we're a wet bag, and we're constantly putting dry stuff into our wet bag. And so, we're constantly dehydrated. And when it comes to your penis, what is that? A smooth muscle. And what plumps up muscle? Water. And so we're losing out on so many different ways. We when I talk about eating meat, I'm not a chicken hugger. I just say that, hey, if you're having a problem with your erections, just like if you were having problems with your lungs, people tell you don't smoke. Well, if you're having problems with your erections, you need to pay attention to the meat. It's that simple. uh, and we even use things like microwaves that just kill our food, and we have lifelong chronic stress. We're stressed about everything nowadays, and it's not a good situation. I got you, Eben. All right. But we're also in a situation where we're stressed over things that are not even in the room. We're stressed over, we're looking at our phone and yelling at people who aren't there, and while other people are in the room, and we're not interacting with them. So all of these things are leading to us just being in constant stress, and that stress leads to inflammation, leads to lack of sleep, leads to a whole bunch of issues, leads to you not having your erections. And I just want to say a few things right quick before we get deeper into all of this. um, it's your body. It is your body. It's your responsibility. I mean, I can give you as much advice as I want to. Other people can tell you things, but around here, we talk about accountability, and responsibility and respectability. Um, what I don't want you to do is become a part of that magic pill society where it's like, oh, all I have to do is just take this pill and I'm going to be good. Now, all you're going to do is just mask the situation, and it's just going to come back worse a year or two, maybe less from now. Um, and just recognize this pandemic of low testosterone is real, and it's because of the patterns of things that we're doing, and I'll be talking about that in a second. But you can get better. I mean, there's a reason why we have Goodwood. We have Goodwood Advanced, as that is coming out. And do the research. we're collecting research. I'm going to talk about more about what Goodwood University is about. Uh-huh. Amsterdam in the house. Hey, appreciate you, RJ. But we can do the things that we need to do to get everything correct. It's just a matter of us being responsible. It's being accountable. All those different things that are necessary for us to get going. So, if you do have any questions, I am here to answer those. Just go ahead and put those into the comment section, and I'll get to that. But I do want to go ahead and give you some tools real quick so that you can. This is what we've been planning for a good long time. Ah, Dallas Property Movers. What's going on? What's going on with you? All right. Aruba. All right, I need a vacation. Um, yeah, I'm right outside of Washington D.C. and people come here to vacation. I'm like, why? I do want to show something to you guys right quick, and that is what we're doing to get every guy jump started here. We have the Wood on Demand Challenge. June is Men's Health Month. And that's what we're doing. We're starting June 1st. We're having the Wood on Demand Challenge. And the challenge is basically getting you all set to get to the next level. Um, and that's because the thing that I recognize after years of doing this, 23 years of talking to guys and, seeing what works, what doesn't work, and doing research, the thing that I know is the fastest way to fix your health is to fix your patterns. It's what you're doing day after day after day. The reason why you have this issue is just like I said before. Um, there was a difference. Well, the pattern that I had when I was 5'10", 5'10" at 180 pounds, and 5'10" at 280 pounds. I don't need to go into the explanation. We just know it was fat acid read that I was that was all about. I was, being lazy. So there was a pattern there. So once you understand your patterns, you're able to correct your patterns, you're able to reverse engineer and get back to where you need to be. And that's all about knowing where you are right now. That's important. So you're level set. You know exactly where you're starting off, and that way you can start getting towards setting goals and getting towards it. And then you have to track your health, what you're doing daily. A lot of times we forget. We just, I'll remember. Hey, what did you eat last Tuesday for breakfast? Some guys are like, I don't remember what I ate yesterday for breakfast. So you want to be aware of that, so you know what to do the following day, see what the results are, and then you want to have help. A lot of times, unfortunately, when it comes to this subject in particular, I'll just tell you this story real quick because I've been on phone calls doing personal one-on-one coaching, and what I've hear several times is guys saying, "You're the only one I talk to about this," and I'm like, "That's not a good idea." That's not a good idea because I don't have everyone's experiences. I've gone through what I've gone through. I have weight issues, but I've coached people who have diabetes who are slim. uh, two different sets of issues. But if you're talking with someone else who has those experiences, those insights, I coach guys who have prostate cancer, who have diabetes, who've had lupus. I talk to a lot of guys, and you know it's better if we all are in together and you get insights that I can't possibly give you. um, and that's what this challenge is all about. It's about pulling together all three of those things, because the first thing that we're going to do once you get into this challenge is you're going to get your performance score. So we have the men's sexual performance quiz, and it sets you up so you understand where you are on the scale of 1 to 10. 10 means everything works. 1 means you need to go to the hospital. 5, 6, and 7 is basically where you're just unreliable. We're talking about from the time it's like, hey, I'm losing my erection during sex, and also there's times I'm just, I just can't get up at all. And then the next day it's fine. What's going on? So you need to understand exactly where you are. And then we developed a whole system behind this. It's called ECS 25. If you've been following me for a while, you probably heard of this. We're talking about energy, sleep, exercise, intermittent fasting, and soul. It's a system that you can keep score of what you're doing daily. That way, you're tracking it in a way that makes sense. And of course, the big thing is to join in with the challenge team on the Goodwood U app. Yes, we have a whole app for this. We serious around here, man. Huh. Hey, what's going on, RJ? How much does drinking alcohol play into not being able to get it up? Huge, huge. Real quick. Yeah, you're taking a poison that happens to make you feel woozy. It also dehydrates you. It's also packed with a lot of sugar. Sugar lowers your testosterone. So you have a poison with testosterone lowering sugar. It's not a good look. Uh-huh. Fort Wayne in the house, yes indeed. All right, moving on. So when it comes to this challenge, of course, as I mentioned before, June is Men's uh, Health Month. So that's the reason why we're kicking off here. And like I mentioned, this system is all about measuring the five most important things when it comes to men's sexual health: energy, sleep, exercise, intermittent fasting, and soul. Why do we pick those five? That's because energy is what goes into your body. We're talking about the food, water, sun, and breathing, and all of those play a huge factor. I mean, all of these things count. And it's just weird that we live in a time where it's like we should be doing everything correctly, but is we're going in the wrong direction. So we're here to correct that. Sleep, hugely important. That's when your testosterone forms. Exercise, hugely important because you need to move the blood inside of your body daily, obviously, and also that you're going to form testosterone if you do the correct exercises. Intermittent fasting is huge because nowadays, for the most part, guys are eating constantly. And that is actually not good for your body. It actually ages you. There's a whole science behind that. And when we talk about soul, we're talking about your stress levels. We're talking about what you're doing on the daily. I talk to guys who I was just talking to a gentleman who is having problems. He wanted to make sure, he keeps his, I think he said he was like a 7 or an 8 on the scale, but he noticed that dip, and he not only had a new kid, he was also taking on a night job. And it's like, oh, whew, um, that is serious business right there, especially if you're cutting out on sleep. So he had to learn to prioritize sleep. Uh huh. All right. Pines, Florida. Pembroke. What's going on, Claude? All right. Um, so what we do with this challenge, we set goals in every one of these areas. This is your own personal goal. We actually teach you how to set a goal. It's really simple. It's like, hey, when it comes to eating, if you're like, hey, I eat meat all the time, maybe I need to cut back on that. I'm gonna cut back on one meal. I'm eating every meal. I'm having a piece of meat. Maybe I'm gonna cut back to, 2 times. It's your own personal goal. What we say around here all the time: do not run away from crazy because crazy will chase you. You want to walk away from crazy. That way, crazy gets bored. They're like, this isn't fun. And it leaves you alone. So we're talking about different things you can do, like, setting your sleep schedule better. Instead of sleeping for 5 hours, you go for 6 hours. Or if you're 6 hours, you go to 7 hours. You're just setting up your own goals. And part of the process is, of course, when you join the app. We got a little picture of it right here. When you join the Goodwood community, Goodwood University community, you're not only getting access to everything that you need, you're actually getting access to other people who have situations similar to yours. And so you can take the survey that we have, the sexual performance score. You'll watch a boot camp video that's just basically going to tell you how to use the ECS 25 system. Just walk you through it. We'll try to make this as easy as possible. And once you're into the university, hey, just we have a whole bunch of different sections for you to watch videos. We have events like this. I'm going to have office hours for guys who just like, just give you some time, just give a call in to me, and we just chat, do a little group chat, something like that. It's all about getting you set up for success. And the challenge process, what we're looking for is engagement. Is we're looking for you, really, because you know an answer. This is the whole thing. When people say, my mother said, "Are you doing a university? How can you do a university?" Um, that's what's supposed to happen. A university is actually, is actually just a collection of people who are getting together to learn something. And that's what this is about. A lot of times we think a university is like a big school that costs way too much. That's not what we're doing here. We're trying to help each other. So you know something I don't know. That's the way it works. I know a lot about this, not because I'm a genius. It's just been doing it for 23 years. You figure some stuff out. And we also, as a part of this process, we have the challenge playbook. So it also helps you understand what you need to do. It actually lists out different goals that you can set. So you can actually have, mine taped up against the door, my bathroom door. And Every time it's time for me to go to sleep, I'm walking past it. It's like, oh yeah, I need to, turn off the blinds, set the temperature to this, not look at lights, turn the lights down. I have a whole list of all the things that I need to do. So it's just to make things easier for you. And if you are participating and you do the things you need to do, we got some prizes for you. We partner with Let's Get Checked. There's a testosterone kit company. These folks, that's what they do. All you have to do is just prick your finger, put it into a tube, send it into them, and they will let you know what your testosterone is. And we could talk about that. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. We've also partnered with Mother Nature Organics, great company, great products. They sell stuff that we don't have at Goodwood, but of course we also do have Goodwood and now Goodwood Advanced. I'll be talking about that in a second. Mm-hmm. Hmm. Chris Sadler. Hey, Chris, what about losing your mojo after 30 minutes and you change positions? Well, if you're going for 30 minutes, you're doing pretty good there, bro. um, but if you want to go for longer, yeah, keep going. The question is there. We talk about different techniques that you can use. We talk about having sex all night long, and basically that means taking a break. For some people, they just think it's a race or a marathon. You just need to keep going, keep going, keep going. Hey, you don't have to have an orgasm. You don't have to ejaculate every time you have sex. You can literally just take a break. I mean, the act of having sex feels great. Obviously, an orgasm feels great, but you can save that for later. So it depends on what you want to do, but if you're looking for more stamina, yeah, there are ways you can do that. And part of Goodwood University, of course, we talk about uploading videos. We have the live coaching sessions, informational videos, prizes for the reaching those goals. We have all of that set up for you. We have our partners who are here to help us out with their products. And when it comes to Goodwood University, we obviously talk about you can't see it there, accountability, responsibility, and respectability. You know, I respect you and the things that you're doing because I understand. I talk to guys all the time. I understand it's not just about your erections. It's about the people around you. It's about your relationships with your woman, your wife, your girlfriend, your mistress, whoever it is. It's about that because it affects other things. It affects your jobs. I've had guys who they can't focus in on their job. They can't start a new relationship. I've had guys postpone marriages. I've had guys who contemplating divorces because they couldn't perform, and it kept seeing their wives, and it just reminded them that he couldn't perform. So it was stressing them out. Uh huh. What's going on, Brandon? DMV in the house. All right. Okay. Um, and so as part of Goodwood University, it's made for you and with you. Uh, like I said before, inspire us. You doing something, you start to eat something different. I just heard from one of my coaching clients today. Uh, is a DJ, and my man said that he's working on that weight, and in doing the other things that we suggest. I love hearing that. And talking to different guys with different issues, you're going to get that back and forth. You're going to learn something every time. That's the reason why I love coaching. I learn stuff every time. Also going to be doing interviews with other people in the field. We're talking about fitness coaches, relationship folks. We're going to have products. Obviously, we talked about Mother Root Organics. Obviously, we have Goodwood, but we have other products, sleep masks, things like that available for you. We also have exclusive videos. Typically, videos I do end up on YouTube. Some things I can't really talk about on YouTube. I can't go in deep because the algorithm is going to mess things up. But when you're in Goodwood University, we are free to speak freely. Yeah. And of course, we have supplements and live group coaching. I do one-on-one coaching, but what I realize is that it takes up a lot of time, and it costs. I don't want to. There's too many guys out there with too many issues. I do want to take care of my special guys who want to, who can afford it. But I want to make sure everyone's taken care of. New Jersey, Jersey in the house. What's going on, Mr. Green? Okay. And now let's talk about Goodwood Advanced. Goodwood Advanced. This is new. And the reason why we talk about men in their, in their 40s and 50s and 60s, one of the things I recognize from having conversations with guys, and this actually I experienced this myself. I've taken more African fly slash Goodwood than anybody on the planet. The second person is right over there. And as we age, things changed. At one point, it was like, oh, we just need to, as you get older, you won't have to double up on, the African fly, and when it was African fly at that time, and it was like, you keep getting older. That keeps happening, and so I was talking to guys who were having their testosterone was normal, but they were having erection issues. It's like, hold up, what's going on? And then doing the research, coming to find out that their total testosterone was fine. It would be like 700, 800, but their free testosterone wasn't there. So what happens as you get older? Your free testosterone, it's only like 1 to 2%. Your free testosterone does one of two things. It'll either, well, I call it get pimped, getting pimped out. Either get tricked, it'll be tricked into becoming bound testosterone. When we're talking about bound testosterone, we're talking about it. Free testosterone is flowing in the blood, going where it needs to go at the time it needs to be there. But it can be tricked into being bound, or it can be turned out. It can be changed into estrogen. So if you're sitting there like, okay, I'm just my gut is just growing bigger, and I'm getting softer, what's going on as I get older? That's because your testosterone, though the total testosterone may be fine, your free testosterone, which is necessary to, like, oh, you're having an erection, testosterone goes right down to your penis and like starts opening things up so that you're able to have an erection. So what we did with Goodwood is actually we stacked it. What does that mean? Stacking, you probably may be familiar with that. Stacking is like, you're taking a couple of different herbal supplements at the same time. And so when we added in nettle, what nettle does is help with those two things. It doesn't raise testosterone, but when you put it with the regular Goodwood formula, it actually stops your testosterone from changing into estrogen, which is called aromatase, and it also stops your testosterone from connecting to sexual hormone binding globulin. There we go. That's the technical term for it. Basically, we stop it from to stop your testosterone from changing into something else. And so what we do is we have the Goodwood plus the Goodwood University, because what I learned early on was it's not just a supplement. It's supposed to supplement the other things you do. And so if you don't know what those other things are, you then become reliant on a drug, on a supplement, something like that, and you're not really taking care of the true issue. We want you to take care of the true issue. That's how, as you get older, you don't have this issue. If you do what like a lot of guys have done, which is take, and I have a client like this, he was taking Viagra for years, and it just got to a point where the Viagra stopped working. Of course, it stopped working because he was doing a whole bunch of other things incorrectly. And so now that we understand exactly what needs to be done in terms of your energy, sleep, exercise, intermittent fasting, and so we get those things taken care of. You know how to start programming your life so you're going in the right direction at all times. You're going to be good. So we love this combination. I love the fact that we're able to finally give this to you, especially right here at the beginning of Men's Health Month. So, I wanted to make sure I got all of that out to you, and I definitely want to answer any questions that you got. What's going on, Mr. Vinny? 007 in the house. Uh huh. Yes. Get your game up. Go hard. Uh huh. Okay. All right. Great question. Great question right there. J10H says, Unc, is performance anxiety curable? Yes. Yes. I'm going to give you a quick one. Maybe this is it. When we say performance anxiety, that covers a lot. But one of the things that happens is that as guys, if we have a bad experience, we sort of carry that. So it's like, okay, everything's fine. Then that one time it's like, oh man, yeah, just couldn't get up, or I lost my erection during sex, or I just normally I'm ready to go again. I'm just not ready anymore. What's going on? And if you're thinking about that, the next time she comes through, you're like, hey, okay, well, she just she just gave me a hug. I didn't have an erection. And she's looking cute. I'm not having an erection. And she just took her clothes off. I'm not having an erection. Is what you're doing is you're just thinking about your erections so much that you're increasing your cortisol. You're stressing yourself out. And cortisol is when your cortisol goes up, your testosterone goes down. That's typically the reason why you don't see a guy in a fight with a hard on unless he's on something. So if you're, if you're thinking about your penis, it's called spectatoring. As you just sitting there thinking about it the entire time, it becomes a problem. Typically, when guys hear about this, they're like, "Oh," they're able to calm down and just like, "All right, let me just let it come to me." Because think about it, when you weren't having a problem, you didn't think about this at all. You were just like, "Oh, she's here. I have an erection. Let's go." And you have a couple of issues, and then you're like, "Oh, I'm thinking about it all the time." That's what the problem is. So hopefully, that right there can help out. Uh huh. Hmm. All right, what's going on, Ro? What's good? All right. All right. We're talking about diabetes, sugar levels, and testosterone. All right. So, one of the things about diabetes that I want guys to be aware of is actually two things. One is that diabetes can it be exacerbated by the high consumption of meat. Um, and so that's one of the things to be careful of. A lot of times we say it's just the sugar. It's the sugar. Your body turns the the vast majority of what you eat into glucose. So you're going to have glucose. You're going to have sugar in your body, regardless, whatever you eat. But when you're eating meat, it actually coats the inner lining of your blood vessels all throughout your body, and that's where you start running into issues. Um, and so what you want to do is be very careful about the consumption of your of meat. Obviously, adding a whole bunch of sugar, processed food is not good for it anyway. And also the other thing to remember, I mean, this is one of the reasons why over 50% of men who have type 2 diabetes also have erection issues. And that's because sugar lowers your testosterone. And obviously, you need the testosterone to have those erections. So, you have sort of a double whammy right there. And one of the things that can actually happen is fasting. Fasting will help your body break down. It's called autophagy. Basically, when you're not eating, your body's like, oh, okay, well, we have to consume something, but we're not. It's smart. It's not going to consume the good stuff. It's going to consume the bad cells, the dead cells, things that it doesn't need. So that's the reason why we talk about intermittent fasting as a protocol in terms of helping out with your erections. Because if you're able to get the bad stuff out, get the good blood flow going, you're going to be much better. Okay. All right. Great question, yes, sir. Uh huh. Said Mr. Green, I definitely have performance anxiety. The older I get, is the point where I avoid dating because I'm worried about this. This happens a lot. Unfortunately, it happens a lot. As I mentioned before, years ago, I worked with a gentleman who he was all in love, but did not want to propose because of that issue. And I understand that now because I talked with another gentleman who later on said he knew why he was going to get divorced before he got married, and that's because he couldn't perform. And that's the unfortunate thing about that. So when we talk about performance anxiety, is two things going on. One is the physical side. I mean, it's the physical side and the mental side are tied in together. I call it the 80-20 rule of sexual performance for men. 80% of it is physical. We actually have to move. If you look at the ECS 25 formula, that energy, sleep, exercise, intermittent fasting, that's all physical. And soul is that 20%. Um, and so that 20% can be can be serious. However, if that 80% is really strong, it typically can overcome that 20%. And that's because, if you're going good, if you're on the sexual performance scale, if you're 8, that means you have erections on demand. A 9 means that you have spontaneous erections, and a 10 means you have morning erections. And so if you're moving up this scale, that means you're just functioning correctly. especially if you're just walking down the street. And believe me, guys, believe me when I tell you, to go from I was when I was 280 pounds. I guess I was like a good five at that point. I didn't even come up with a scale at that point. I didn't even think of it. But yeah, to go from like rarely having a strong erection to like now just going down the street seeing a woman is like, oh, that energy, that tingling, that not just the erection but everything else is like, ooh, I have to go over there and talk to her. That level of energy that comes back, that's what you want. That's what you want. And if you have that, then your confidence goes up. If your confidence goes up, your worrying about performance anxiety goes away. So you want all of that. Hmm. Yeah. Mr. Reed is talking about that also, that performance anxiety. Um, yeah. So, one of the things that ends up happening, and I don't talk about this enough, as in what happens when you come out on the other side of this journey. You hit a point where it's like, hey, it doesn't matter if you like you got a girlfriend or you don't have a girlfriend. It if you can't perform, it messes with you. But when you're finally able to do all the right things, I mean, I tell you, what I do now, there is no way. 7 years ago, absolutely not. Workout 6 days a week, walk 5 miles, sometimes 10 miles a day. I have a stand up desk, I have a bouncy ball, I have a whole sleep ritual. Intermittent fasting is like normal. I mean, skip breakfast, man, I used to tear breakfast up. um Now it's like it's just a normal thing. Once you have it into a routine where it's like you don't think about it anymore, that's the true value of that's the reason why I came up with ECS 25, because it's like, how can I gamify this? Oh, I didn't even mention this. Part of the way you do this, part of the way you score it is like, hey, you set your personal goal. If you reach your personal goal, like I said, if you're trying to cut out one serving of meat a day, you get a five. If you don't reach that goal, you get a zero. So you now know exactly where you stand, because if you have a 25, that means that you have exponential energy. You are going to heal yourself rapidly. If you're a 20, you're on an upward spiral, you're doing good. If you're 15, you're just average. But that's a problem if you stay average over a period of time, because as you get older, you're going to have more problems. You're going down. Um, if you're at a 0, 5, or a 10, you're on the downward spiral, and things are going to get worse. Especially one of the interesting things about just being human is like over time, it's just like, you feel young. And it's like, oh, this is going to last. This is going to last until something happens. You're like, oh, huh, okay. But you're so locked into your routine of doing the normal stuff, that bad pattern, that you can't break out of it easily. And that's the whole point of having a way to score yourself, and having a group of guys who are going through the same process to help out. Uh-huh. And oh, I'm sorry. Also, let me go ahead and put this up here right quick. Yes. So, if you go, you can see down there at the bottom, we have uh we do have Goodwood Advanced is now available. It is on the Goodwood givegoodwood.com site, and we do have a coupon code of GW15. Go ahead and use that coupon code to take 15% off of Goodwood Advanced and Goodwood. Often say Goodwood is still a great product, obviously, but Goodwood Advanced is for the guys who are older, who, are having those issues with just the testosterone is not the same as it was before. So please make sure you go there. All right. Uh-huh. So yeah, let's see. Is there any other questions? Anything I missed? Also, one of the things that happens if you join us over at Goodwood University is that you will have access to me. What I was doing before was going, I would have my link up there on YouTube, and so I got had a lot of guys coming through, and we just had a free session, a free 15-minute session. Like I said, I love doing it, learn a lot, but it takes up a lot of time. But when you join us over there at Goodwood University, and I will be in there we can chat with each other, all that good stuff. Uh-huh. So we want to keep doing that. I want to make sure that we get all of that taken care of. Let me see. Did I miss anybody? All right. Yeah, I did want to touch right back on the question about alcohol really quick. A couple of things that people don't think about when you're drinking alcohol is the fact that it messes up everything else. And when I say that, it also messes with your sleep. Um, and sleep is hugely important when we're talking about erections. So not only do you have the sugar content that's in alcohol, you have the poison that's in alcohol, but it also messes up your sleep. So that's a triple whammy right there. And so you want to be very careful about that. Also, smoking weed is now legal in a lot of places, and I get that question all the time. Can it's smoking can because yeah, it can be well, weed can be a bunch of different things. It can be a stimulant or it can be a downer. But what you want to do is make sure that when you're if you're going to partake in the weed smoke, make sure that the THC is at a lower level because that is going to mess with you. Um, some people like the feeling of like having sex while smoking weed, but as you get older, you find out that your body's like, hey, yeah, it was never good. You thought you were doing better. Yeah, you were just sort of high. So there we go. So yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't see any other questions in here. So, guys, if you do have a question, go ahead and hit me up. But yeah, definitely make sure that, if you want to go ahead and try out Goodwood Advanced, that we do have it available on the site. Click on go to givegoodwood.com, look under shop, and you will find it there. We're going to be doing a lot of other great things when it comes to Goodwood University because we try to turn Goodwood University into the Amazon of men's sexual health. So we're going to have other products, other coaching material, whatever it takes to get you not to have an issue. And it's also a safe space for you to ask questions and let other guys know what is going on. Uh huh. So, well, coolness. I'm not going to hold you guys up any longer. I do want to thank the guys who asked the great questions, Mr. Reed, Mr. Green, Raul, Mr. Vinny. Appreciate every one of you. And yeah, definitely. Oh, this Thursday, we do have another video coming out on YouTube. And that's going to talk about some more about supplements and the things that you need to be looking out for. And also, that's June 1st. That's the day that we start the challenge. So if you're ordering Goodwood Advance, you will get an email that lets you know about how to enter into the university, how to get to the challenge, and all the things that you need. Like I said, we try to make it as easy as possible. So, with that, unless somebody has any other questions, I do want to thank you for being on with me. This has been great. I can't wait for the rest of this year. This is going to be a great summer. Looking forward to getting as many guys taken care of back in the saddle and healthy as possible. And with that, let me go ahead and say what I normally say. This is Uncle B saying, get your game up and go hard and get advanced with it too. Peace out.